who are the people in my network who have similar interests that I might have? Like, how can I connect with them? And it was an easy thing to do in the beginning part of the year because people are recommitted with their goals and they're trying to hit New Year's resolutions and whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. And we want to help be a facilitator of that. Or if you look at that first quarter, like an easy thing is like if you're really into like vision boards and planning that like goal setting, it wouldn't be hard. I mean, in real estate, we hear about this stuff all the time. Like we hear about like create a vision board and you should be goal setting. But think of like the people in your network, like where would they hear that?
I think the coolest part, click on the little sandwich button, scroll down, you can see your members, all the events, but the mini master classes, that's what's going to set this apart, along with the master classes that are coming. But now you can click on the mini master class that you like. It's broken down into sections. You've got the process here. You can scroll down, watch the video if you want. They're not very long. They're about 5 minutes each. And you can go and click on the PDF, and there you have all the notes for that specific mini master class. To me,
LCA, we are in for a treat. As a part of the No Money event, I have got the distinct honor of having my good friend Aaron Dressel on. And if you don't know me, I am Cherie Benjamin from Village Premier Collection. But Aaron, hello.
Who doesn't know you? They all know you.
Oh, Aaron.
They all know you. Well, yeah, you're well known.
So Aaron, let's talk a little bit about Aaron. So you are based out of Salt Lake City, Utah?
Salt Lake City, Utah, broker owner, been in real estate for a while now. So I'm the broker owner of Better Homes and Gardens, real estate momentum here. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. So I'm glad you're hosting and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, in the LCA world, if you guys don't know, all of us little indies, we kind of know each other. So I've known Aaron for a lot of years now. So we are really going to be diving deep today into how to host these events for little to no money. You know, COVID it's still here, and we've gotten a little bit into understanding how we can do things in a COVID world. Right? That's how it's been for the last 2 years. Now, with that being said, events are starting to come back and I'm seeing them pop up left and right. We even have some that we're hosting, and these suckers can get pretty dang on expensive.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're talking about into the 6 figures when it comes down to expenses, depending upon how large your event is. But Aaron, you've kind of cracked the code on bringing these costs down, right?
We have. I mean, we've done the big events. We've had we do some big ones, and but those are costly. I mean, it can cost a lot of money to put those things together. And I mean, obviously, you get sponsors to kind of help out with some of that, but still, like it's a huge undertaking. And oftentimes, people look at you or look at myself, and we've been in the business for a while now, and it's easy for someone to feel overwhelmed and be like, well, I can't do that. Like that's. Like that, I'm just a onesie agent, and or I'm a small little broker owner, and I don't have the resources for that, and that's just too much for me. And so they just tap out mentally to even move forward on that. And so I think that's like the conversation today is kind of helping people get started in the process and not feel overwhelmed by some huge dollar amount that they think is unsurmountable to obtain.
Yeah, because I've been to some events. I've been to some client style events, which were huge, and there's hundreds of people there. I've been to some that are for us, you know, realtors, broker owners, all of that. And there's hundreds of people there too. And I do remember back when I was just an agent, I do remember looking at some of these events. Let's just talk specifically first about these client events, right? Sure. So I'm looking at a lot of these client events, and I'm just thinking, there is no way in the world that I'm going to be able to do this. Or I'll look at another agent and say, well, yeah, they close a lot more deals than what I do, so they must have the cash flow for it.
For sure. I mean, if someone were to look at, if someone were to sit back and see some of the YouTube videos that we have, or some of the big events that we do, it would feel overwhelming. I mean, like
Yeah.
like we'll do our holiday parties this October, and those are big undertakings. There's a lot of manpower, a lot of work behind those. And even the one in the summertime, we do a big holiday mashup party, which is all the holidays at one time. So you got everything from Santa to the Easter Bunny, doing Easter egg hunt. You have every single holiday represented, and those are big undertakings with thousands of people at them. And if
You
someone
know
saw
what?
that, they would think too much. But I can't do that. That's not no way.
So let's bring it down. Let's talk about something that's coming up pretty soon that I think a lot of people, let's talk about fourth quarter.
Sure.
Okay. And some things that agents can do for fourth quarter in order to tap into their clients or their potential clients that they're looking for, as far as an event, because most agents will say that over the phone, even those that are phone animal styles, right? Not a plug, but even those that are the phone animal styles, they can get on the phone and they can close deals out. But face to face, their ratios of closing things out when they're face to face, those numbers drastically go up.
Oh, for sure. Because they're real people, and you see them and you're able to interact, and it's a whole different deal when you're connecting. And there's a whole segment of people that have total phone aversion. Like, they don't want to call people on the phone. It's super awkward for them. You get that whole segment of people that they're more relationship based, and they have this mental block where if they were to call people, now they're going to try to like take something from them, and they're more of givers. And they're like, I don't want to call because then what am I going to talk about? And I don't want to come across as super sales. I don't want to be one of those people. And what events have really, what they create is an opportunity to lead with a giving hand. That you can create something and be able to reach out to someone and invite them to participate in an event where you're leading out to be able to offer something, which for people who are a little bit more like scared, I don't know if scared is the word, but just like more hesitant to call people, like it gives them an excuse now that they can reach out and invite.
Well, and I would say this, it's the way that I've always framed it is that when it comes down to real estate, there's a part of it that's a lot of stewardship that's in there, and with that, each agent, the cool thing is that every agent gets to determine how their businesses are ran. And some agents want their businesses to be referral based. Some want their businesses to originate over the phone. Some want to do like a mix of both, right? So if you're looking at doing a mix of both, or if you're looking at doing it where you're solely referral based, this is a huge part that needs to be inside of your business. Now, to all you guys out there in LCA world, we can be very interactive. If there's ever any questions, we are going to jump into the questions that are in the chat line. So don't hesitate to put your questions in there if you are joining us live, okay? So let's talk about this fourth quarter, that's coming up. So in this fourth quarter that's coming up, we're seeing holiday times. This is our holiday season happening. We are talking about Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah.
What Columbus Day? You're skipping over that one?
I kind of did, didn't I?
Veterans Day?
People Day.
This is People's
Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Hey, that's me, buddy. I skipped over myself, didn't I?
Nice.
But there's so many things. But what are the big ones that kind of get people to come out to? That's what I'm talking about. The ones that you're going to get the most bang for your buck when it comes down to participation.
Well, I mean, you're looking at two things coming up. You've got like your fourth quarter that you're planning, and you're kind of rushed. We're kind of scrambling to get the fourth quarter stuff put together. You also want to be planning on first quarter of next year.
Yep.
Because as you're moving into the holiday season, you want to start to have conversations about the upcoming thing that you're planning after the first of the year. So you're kind of moving into it like you can put some stuff together quickly to get into this fourth quarter, but then you want to also be have an eye ahead for the beginning of next year, because those are some really cool events you can do January, February, March, moving into next year, and give you some momentum moving into that first quarter of the upcoming year.
That's true. That's
very true. But both are good, right? Like, so I would say if you're looking at doing low cost events, there's a couple different ways of doing it. One, I mean, one easy answer is you get involved with different sponsors or different people you can kind of team up with. That's an easy way of kind of making things work out, where you've got other companies that you can kind of team up to use their space. You can so that makes the cost of the venue a lot less because you're utilizing someone else's space. You can also leverage other companies and use their databases to be able to do marketing, which is a powerful way of expanding your database. So instead of just working to just your clientele, do a joint collaboration with someone else to kind of team up. And what we've found is that over the course of time, that there are certain holidays that I want to kind of own in my client's mind. And I think Christmas is a hard one. It's hard to like take over Christmas in your client's mind. Like there's too much other stuff that goes into Christmas. Now, there are people who do really well with early events in December, and they do like a pictures with Santa, or they'll do like a breakfast on a Saturday morning, or some sort of like a thing around Christmas. And personally, I've always had a hard time with that one, just because it's hard to compete with Christmas. You see a lot of people do stuff with Thanksgiving with like the pies, and I know several people who will have a lender that they'll team up with, and lender will pay a good portion of some of that stuff. They'll have other people participating in that. We've done well with a social media event where we've done gingerbread house contests. So we'll do a gingerbread house contest, and we'll have our clients compete on the social media side, and we'll even provide little real estate signs for clients and give that to them. And so their Facebook feed and Instagram feed is littered with little cool gingerbread houses with your real estate sign in front of them. And that's kind of a fun event.
Let's kind of stay here for some of that right there, because
Yeah.
the one cool thing about the online events, the downside is that you're not face to face, right? The upside to it is that something that you can do very quick, and you can kind of get that rolling and get that started. Because I feel as if we have a lot of people that will overanalyze this and sit in this and think it needs to be a lot in order to get something like this done. And then what you said, it could be even something as small as a digital card that they put on that picture that's there, that's not the sign, something. So let's get some thoughts going here. I want to give a lot of agents just a bunch of free kind of things that they can do, that they can get jump started on this while we're planning some of our bigger things.
Yeah, I think those are great. I mean, like some of those little things. Another one that has been really good is sometimes we get caught up with these big events, but if you're doing little smaller events, they're a little bit more intimate. And there are some cool things that you can do on a smaller scale. And even if you want to invite people to your home, or you can like set up your office, or you can have one of your other vendors that you want to work with and use their office space. But we've done we did a wreath making event. So we had wreaths that were made, and we had a local person who came in and made helped to teach a class on that. And having classes and different things that you can teach, that's a great way of connecting with people.
Oh, wait a minute, Aaron, you're going down the crafty zone, and I love me some good crafts. So what you're saying is that if an agent does have a little bit, we can kind of go into Hobby Lobby and Michael's and go a little crazy and get some decoration, and then do that as a client event in our office.
Yeah, and you can even make it so that people pay for the supplies.
Yes.
So you can say, hey, so if we're going to be doing this class, we have a person coming to teach. The supplies will cost this much, and we'll have everything all set up, and we have limited seating. And people will pay to come to that event because they're going to walk away with something. And what you're providing is whatever experience you want to have at that place. So wreath making is an easy one. You could even
wreath making is an awesome one.
Yeah, cooking. I mean, there's tons of different cooking things you can do. So, and that's teaming up with a local chef, and you can have a chef come in, or you can use a venue and actually have people pay for the different things. We did one where we did one last year. We did a barbecue event. So we had people come, and we had a local barbecue expert teach how to make the perfect steak on a barbecue. And people paid to come in, and we did it at a park, and it was fun. We had some different activities for kids to do. Then we had a 30-minute class on the ultimate steak barbecue. And people came because they want to hear and see what this guy was doing and how he taught and how to cook a steak. And then at the same time, we had samples for everybody. And then people paid a little bit of money to have food that was provided. And we had some vendors that kind of helped out to kind of offset the cost. It was pretty minimal. But that was an easy way of like connecting with people to do a fun event.
Let me talk about one thing that we did last year. So that was very inexpensive. We went into the parking lot and hosted a trunk or treat. And it's for your entire clients. We only had to decorate our own truck, but we invited them out, or our own trunk. We invited them all out. The clients all came, their friends came. You can do it as far as invite total neighborhoods if you want. And the only supplies you need to supply is your trunk. That's what the awesome thing is. Bunch of candy in your trunk. Now, doing this with some of your sponsors, or you're doing a collaboration with, let's say, your lender, your title company rep. You can do it with your painters, any of the service providers that you use a lot, your inspectors. You can do this with a lot of different people. And that actually helps fill up some of that space that's there when you're doing that. And that has been a really, really awesome event for us that's so inexpensive to do. So talk to me really quick about the conversation, because what I'm finding is that a lot of agents are a little bit hesitant. Because think about it, if they're not very comfortable asking for the sale over the phone, will they be comfortable asking for their vendors and their relationships they have to help with sponsorship?
Yeah, because
so how do we frame this conversation? That's what I'm getting.
The easiest way to do it is that you want to introduce them to your people. So when I call like with different vendors, I tell them I've got a really good group of people and I want to connect you with them. So how can I connect you with my people? Like, how do I get you in front of the people in my group? Like, how can I introduce you? Then you also say, one of the things that we do to do different events, it'd be great to have you at that event. So then down the road, I can connect you even better because they're going to know you and they'll be familiar with you because they've seen you at our events. When we did during COVID, so we used to do like a huge pumpkin patch party, a big event in the fall. Mm-hmm. During COVID, that kind of changed things around because we couldn't have everybody in a park and getting everybody together and doing these fun events. So we actually shifted and did a drive-through pumpkin patch party. So we had like a trunk or treat event, but people stayed in their cars. We had sponsors that helped to offset the cost of pumpkins. So we could put a pumpkin in someone's trunk. And then when they'd pull up, we'd have them on a scale of 1 to 3 rate how scary of an experience they want to have as they went through our little zombie area. And we had hired some actors who like were dressed up in all these scary costumes, and they were like would scare the people as they were driving through their different part of the parking lot. Now what was interesting is like on a scale of 1 to 3, like you have some like, we've got little kids, like keep it pretty low. The other people like, oh, we'll take it all the way. Like, great, tough guy, put your windows all the way down. Let's see how this goes. And they would like drive through and like they would be like scared, whatever we could do to like scare them in the process. And so, but it's super easy. It was very low cost because like you did in a parking lot and didn't take a lot of effort. And hiring a couple actors for 2-3 hours to kind of scare a couple people didn't cost very much, especially when we had a sponsor who sponsored that part of our experience. Made it, and it's not a huge cost burden for a lot of these different sponsors to be a part of.
So that means LCA Community, we just gave you 2 separate things that you might be able to pull off this month. One is an inexpensive one. Put that sucker together, plan it out. The other one, you're going to need some sponsorship on unless you decided to go into your pockets for it, but both are still doable. Now let's move on into some of the stuff for November. And this is what I'm trying to do. I want to give you guys a little bit of we're going to take you from the very inexpensive and how you can do this for basically little to no money. And then we're going to also give you some of the bigger ideas that's still little to no money as long as you have some of your sponsorships that are there in place. So in November, one of the biggest things has been like the pie giveaway. And a lot of people have done that. I can tell you what we do. We go and get those pies they end up being right under $6 a piece. During COVID, and from Costco, I think Sam's Club probably has them too, but they're the very large size, those big, huge pies. And we'll send it out. And during COVID, it was a drop-off type of system. So when we were in the thick of COVID, and I'm always very hesitant to say like previously with COVID when it's still here right now. But during that time, it was like a drop-off type of system. And one of the cool things is that partnering with your vendors, your lenders, your sponsorship, getting that sponsorship for that means that they can also be some of the ones doing that drop off for you if you decided to do that, or you can have them all come into the office. What are some of the things that you have seen during the month of November?
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously the pumpkin pie one is a big one. People have really caught on to that. A lot of people get involved with different charities at this time of year. So getting involved in different ways of providing value and even creating experiences where you can go and open that up to your clientele. We've found local groups who are doing pretty cool things, and we've like teamed up with them. One of the groups does they raise funds throughout the year, and they go on shopping sprees to like take like different youth that are in need, and they go so they meet at a Walmart, and you get teamed up with someone, and they have a little shopping list. You get X amount of dollars to take them around and go shopping, and they kind of partner up. And so
wait a minute, I love this.
You're in.
And this is something that the agents can do right now. They can actually pick a date. Think about that. The agents can pick a date and invite their clients, and they all decide what that maximum budget is going to be.
Yeah.
And you can have those stories come in online, put that out, have the stories come in, have the stories be submitted online with the Christmas wishes and the Christmas gifts. And that agent, I'm just trying to make sure the agent can get face to face with those clients too.
Yeah. It's great stuff. I mean, that's a lot of charitable things. One of the ones that many years ago, we got involved and started doing an event we call our Polar Express activity. So we would go to a school that was a little bit more in need in our marketplace. We would worked out to find whatever elementary school it was that we wanted to focus on, and then we would raise funds to be able to create a really cool Polar Express experience. Now with this group, what we would do is we would find we'd go around and have the teachers in the fall have a writing assignment for every kid to write down their dream gift of what it would look like as part of their English assignment. And then that gave us 3 months to gather funds to be able to get that gift. And we would now find that gift. We would do an event with our people and both our clients and our other agents to wrap those presents in December. And then in December, we would have a Polar Express experience where we actually, this is getting a little bit over the top, but we would go and we rent buses and take those kids over to a train station, and when they would do like a Polar Express activity on the train, bring them back to the school where Santa Claus was waiting and all the gifts were wrapped, and they had to take the gift home to their family. They couldn't open the gift until Christmas Day. But it was
you're pulling all this mama's heartstrings, Eric.
Crazy. It's a super cool event. But then you got the local community was all involved because they want to create a really memorable experience. And we wanted the kids to have a really cool gift on Christmas morning when they opened it. So it wasn't about like doing the Christmas present at that event. It was more about the family got to take it home. They got to have a really cool experience at home. But it was not hard to get vendors who want to participate in something like that. Like they want to all be part of that. And then the news was all over that. Like the news.
Of course, you want some of that credit there. That's an easy one. So that in LCA world, I want you guys to know that the schools, if you were looking and you don't know how to find this, if you just Google your Title I schools for your area, those Title I schools are the schools that are in some of those low budget, lower income areas. And those are and they have they get government funding because of their children tend to not test as high also. But if you just look up some of the Title I schools, and you'll be able to find some of those for those experiences.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, but that's like a memorable, and the cool part was like the other agents involved in the brokerage, like they all want to be a part of that. So it wasn't hard to get other people in the community to be part of that process. And then clients want to be part of that. Like when you're telling the clients, like, hey, we're doing this really cool experience, who else wants to participate in this? who else can help us wrap presents? We're gonna be wrapping presents this night. Who can come and help us? And so we usually go to that school where we're doing the event, and we would wrap the presents that night, and you'd have clients there helping. And so now they're part of it. I think one of the things that gets missed is like, there are a lot of times agents will host an event to do some sort of fundraiser, but then the agent kind of is like, hey, give me all this stuff so I can go like do this thing. But like all the stuff that's given to them is kind of behind the scenes. The agents, the clientele doesn't get to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But when you're involving them to be part of it, it's a whole different dynamic. Like, because now you're working with them in it. Like you're creating, and if you can create opportunities for your clientele to now give, like you're the facilitator of some pretty cool emotions and some memories for those people versus just, hey, I'm doing this thing, give me some stuff so I can go give it to somebody else. It just doesn't have the same emotional tethering.
Well, and if you think about it, when you involve your clients and then they have kids too, think about that. The client that brings their kid along, and that kid is helping someone that is less fortunate, those deposits that they're making into those children's brains also of having a servant heart, of how privileged that they might be because they get to live this life with them versus these children. You're showing them those things. I always applaud that. And it makes me think back to my childhood of my mom forcing us on, and I'm saying forcing us the first year. And then after that, something that we just kept doing of feeding the homeless, of helping those. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. And so we saw a lot of homelessness back in those days, a lot of years ago. We're just not going to talk about how many years ago. Okay. But teaching those things and having her taught me that at a young age has her involved in it and myself involved in it. And that's something that has stuck with me my entire life. People definitely want to be involved in the total process. If you have your clients involved in these type of charitable processes all the way throughout it, then think about, I want you to understand that now they will look at this that you have now formed as if it's theirs too.
Yeah, totally. There's a lot of questions in the chat about how many years ago that was. What was the answer to that, Cherie? How many years ago was that for you? There's a lot of
For me personally. Oh yeah, there's no questions in the chat.
There's a lot of questions. There's like 7 or 8 questions. They're asking how long ago that was. So I don't know.
5 years.
Just giving you a hard time. So you're good.
So, all right. So that's some fantastic stuff, we've kind of covered the fourth quarter, big and small, some things that you can do. Let's start really getting into some future pacing and planning here. So truthfully, when we're looking at these bigger events, we want to do things at least. How far out do you do? Do you 6 weeks? Do you plan out 8 weeks?
I mean, honestly, like it's good to have, if you're planning out the year, you want to kind of look at something every quarter. Like so you might alternate them from bigger to smaller. And I would say probably the key things to look at, number one, is what are your personal interests? Like, what are the things that you like to do, or what are some things that you want to develop? Like I mentioned the barbecue one because that was something that I was really into. Like I like to barbecue.
My husband would totally love you for that one.
It was a cool event. A couple years ago, like I was really, really heavy into CrossFit and like lifting heavy weights. And so, but in the first quarter of the year, we did a big fitness event. So on a Saturday morning, I had different fitness people come in and give TEDx style talks, little talks that they gave. And then we ended up doing some green smoothies at the end. Like we made some stuff, but it was a very low cost event to put that together. And what I was looking at is, who are the people in my network who would have similar interests that I might have? Like, how could I connect with them? And it was an easy thing to do in the beginning part of the year because people are recommitted with their goals and they're trying to hit New Year's resolutions and whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. And we want to help be a facilitator of that. Or if you look at that first quarter, like an easy thing is like, if you're really into like vision boards and planning that, like goal setting, it wouldn't be hard. I mean, in real estate, we hear about this stuff all the time. Like we hear about like create a vision board and you should be goal setting, but think of like the people in your network, like where would they hear that? Like, where would they get that information? And so if you were to do some sort of vision board event for your clientele, or if you did some sort of goal setting thing, I mean, we go to conferences and we hear from some amazing speakers about how to manifest the things that we want to create in our lives. But then can you be seen as like a tribal leader to your group? Can you take that information, disseminate it out to them too?
Yeah, and I would tell you this, for the vision boards, I am seeing a good bit of those that are non-real estate related. So if anyone has that into their brains that vision boards are mainly around real estate, I want you to let's just debunk that sucker right there. It's not. It's for everything. I mean, the vision board it's also for people with corporate jobs, right? And it's great for even for them to do with their children, and you're teaching your children that goal setting, that the rules of commitments, and how do you see it first so that you can achieve it in those constant reminders that are there.
Yep. And the thing is, like, if you find things that interest you, there are other people that have interest in those too. And then what's cool about that is you start to get involved with different groups. You start to find like local groups in the community that you might be able to invite to your event. Maybe
that's the word right there, Aaron, community. So you are forming your community.
Yeah, your community, but you're tapping into other people's communities too that are local. Even if it's something simple, like maybe you get into hiking, or you get into fly fishing, or you can tap into other communities that are local and then be involved with those groups. And so that what happens is you become the real estate professional of that group eventually. Like you kind of, they see you first as someone with a common interest. Then all of a sudden, like, oh, you do real estate? And then all of a sudden you're embedded in this group. You have a similar interest. Maybe you like to road bike, or maybe you like to exercise, or whatever it is. Like you find interest within different groups. You start to invite those people out to events. And to think of your real estate business, because every one of you are a business owner, like you're running your own business. And so think of yourself as a real estate business that's sponsoring these different events. Like we see events that are sponsored all the time. If you've ever watched any sporting event, it's sponsored by all these outside companies. So what you're just creating is some sort of activity or event that's sponsored by your real estate business. And that's how you're getting your branding out, because you're sponsoring this. And
well,
that's
and one of the things is that you are your brand, and your brand is in the logo, and that's the thing. So, and just as you said, I mean, you're the CEO of your business, and so you need to conduct it, and then you need to act as such. So we've got in the planning process for 2023 or anytime thereafter, and I do agree with you that you should really sit down and let's just plan out a whole year. Plan out the entire year. And in that way, you're moving from one event to the next, to the next, to the next, and you have a system that's there. But one of your key tips that I really love is to include your personal interest in that, because then it keeps you aligned. There are some times where, hey, some of us might not believe in the Easter bunny or whatever that is. So be true to yourself when you're doing this, and that's how you attract your tribe. So in the planning, we're talking about the 12 months out. Include your personal interest. And what else do you have there for them?
Well, I think the key thing is like you're using this as an excuse to talk to people. I mean, that's what it is. Like it's an excuse to provide value. I think back when, like for me, starting events, like I started doing events before I ever got into real estate. Like that's when I was in college and I was trying to date and I didn't want to be rejected. I started to create events so I could invite people to events, because if they ever said no, they weren't saying no to me, they were saying no to the event. And that's how I started, that's how I started finding people to date.
So this is your jam.
This is my thing.
Is this how Mrs. Dressel came along? It was
sure. I met her at a dance club and I invited her to a game night that we had every Sunday. So she came to our game.
You're a slickster. This isn't supposed to be dating tips, Aaron. This isn't a reference.
It's lead generation, lead conversion. It's the same thing. Same thing.
It's the same thing. Got it. All right. So let's talk about the, so this first quarter that we're looking, let's just break this up, sucker down into these quarters. First quarter, we're thinking about things that we're personally interested in. Let's talk about a little bit of some of the no money or the free-ish events that we can do for that. What are some of the ones you guys might have done during the first quarter? So January, February, March.
Yeah, January, February, March. I mean, like the fitness one was pretty low cost because that was just getting
New Year's resolutions, baby. New Year's
resolutions, pretty easy. And the low cost thing, sometimes we'll pick random holidays and use that as like some sort of party or some sort of event. So if I was looking at those, like the one that would stand out to me would probably be February 2nd, which is Groundhog's Day. Because it's a random day, it's kind of funny. But if you were to do an event around that, that's like, there's nobody that has like a family tradition of Groundhog's Day. So you could kind of own that holiday in their minds. We've done really well with a St. Patrick's Day event. So we do an event in March every year for St. Patrick's Day, and we have a bunch of green food. And we've done that for and that was kind of we've done that
You
for
know,
many.
my very first client event was a St. Patty's style. And I did all the little crafts myself, just went and got some green stuff. It was just myself and my lender. My lender agreed to $150 because none of us had any money, just FYI. So my lender agreed to $150. I went to the pub that was around the corner from my house, and I decided to do it on their karaoke night. So we did it on their karaoke night. I physically called every last one of my clients, and I told them to invite them out, wear green. It's for St. Patty's Day. We're going to do a karaoke. We'll have pizza and soft drinks and beer. That way that $150 covered my entire tab that I had there, between beer by the pitcher, sodas by the pitcher, and pizza. It's like a Chuck E. Cheese party for adults.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And we had the greatest time. It's still today is one of my favorite client events to do, because one, the cost is so low. Two, it ends up being like a date night for my clients, because we didn't have any kids involved. When there's alcohol around, I don't like to have kids around either. So it ended up being a date night. And then the karaoke made it so incredibly fun. But what really took place is that when I made those calls to my clients, the ones that could not, and you can create a Facebook event for this, you guys, and you can add them to that. And then so your phone call is just, and this is keeping it inexpensive by creating a Facebook event for it. The phone call was to just let them know that I did this event. This is when it is. And I really now I went out to all my past clients. This is how I framed it. And I didn't have a lot of clients at the time, people. I sent this to all my past clients, but Aaron, you're one of my favorites. So I really want to know if you and your wife can make it on March the 4th to my St. Patty's event that we're having at Joe's Pub on Main Street. And you know what? It's for St. Patty's Day, so wear something green. And we're just going to do, it's going to be fun. Some karaoke, some pizza, some soft drinks, some beer. Just come on out, okay? The tab's going to be on me. Do you think you and your wife will be able to make it? That was my entire script when I made the phone calls, but I called everyone. The cool thing is that when they said no, if they said, oh, you know what, I got something on that day and time, then my next thing to them was, okay, well, dang it, I really wish I was going to be able to see you guys again, Aaron. But is there anybody that you think I should be connected with that you know of? That got me referrals. And I'm saying it in a Cherie way, not, do you know of anybody who is interested in buying and selling or investing in real estate? And if so, will you send them to me or invite them to that's not me. I'm true to myself. Aaron, do you know anybody that you think I should be connected with? Oh, I might have some. Do you think that they'd like to come? Well, why don't I invite them to this group? And if it's okay, can you tell me what their number is? I'm going to actually put them in here now. Let me look them up on Facebook. And I'm going to invite them. What just happened? What's their names? Let me look them up on Facebook. Oh, okay, I see it. Is this their picture? Great. I'm going to invite them to the event too.
Super cool.
I increase my Facebook by doing that. I send them a friend request. When I send them a friend request, and then I pop it into their messages and say, hey, I'm Cherie, Aaron's friend. We're having this event. He thought it'd be great to have you there. Inexpensive. $150 is what I used in order to pull this off. That's all it took.
Yeah. And the key thing is you're calling and connecting with those people ahead of time. Because I think the mistake that a lot of people make with these events is they stick a post on Facebook, or they send an email blast out and they're like, well, I invited them. And they just think but they're missing the whole secret sauce, which is it's the excuse to talk to people.
It's the excuse to talk to them. You have to pick up the phone, people, and please do not just make this a text message.
No.
If you remember, the reason that I said that when I called Aaron, I said, I did this Facebook event and I've already invited it to you, but you know what? You're one of my favorite people. Just that deposit I put into Aaron's brain makes him really think about, oh my gosh, I don't want to let Cherie down and not come. It's all about how you're framing it in the wording. So cool. I hope you guys got some great suggestions for that for your first quarter for doing this. Any other keys that you have for that first quarter or anything?
Well, that first quarter, the other thing you could look at is the first quarter is going to lead you into springtime.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to springtime, I mean, people start to look at their house and their yard and their outside. And where you're in the real estate space, like there's a lot of things that you can do. So we've done some events in the past where we did an event called having the greenest yard in the neighborhood.
Cool.
And we had like an expert come like from a local like hardware store to talk about what fertilizers you'd use and how to maintain your grass. And that was a really fun event. And we've done some gardening events. So we've done some different events. We have like a really cool garden, how to prep that for the spring. So anything kind of with your house and outside curb appeal and different things around that, that's pretty easy. And a lot of people come out to that and be a part. The only tricky thing is in the springtime, the weather can be a little bit different depending on where you're at and if you're watching from. But that's in our climate, it's a little bit unpredictable. So sometimes you have to have a backup option with making sure that if it's rainy, that you've got that taken care of for that. But other than that, like there's a lot of things to do with the outside of a house or with prepping for curb appeal and making sure you have a cool place for the springtime.
Hey, we've got a question. And I want to ask you this, Aaron. How much do you balance between education and real estate and just fun, right? Like a class versus just an event?
I mean, I lean more towards the fun.
Yeah.
Because people like that draws people out more. Yeah. I would say I do some real estate like classes.
Seminars and classes.
Yeah, like I might do on the real estate stuff. I do it so I kind of look like an expert in certain things. So I might say, hey, we're going to be doing a class on investing on investment properties or a class on this. And usually I'll have like 2 different times that I'll be offering it. But I want my clients to see me as a specialist in certain different aspects. But I will tell that the key with any of the events that I do is that does give me an excuse to go around my neighborhood and actually knock doors in my neighborhood. Like I'm not a huge door knocking person at this point in my career. But what I do is I put my dog on a leash and I walk around the neighborhood. And when someone knocks on the door and you've got a dog with you, it's like, doesn't look like a salesperson. And it's an easy way for me to connect with all the people in my neighborhood. And just as a reminder that, hey, I'm the local real estate person here. Now in my neighborhood, there are 4 other agents, but none of them go around door to door and invite them to different activities. And my script or the verbiage that I say at the door is pretty simple. It's just, hey, it's me, it's Aaron. I just live up around the corner. You probably already know this, but I work in real estate. And the reason I'm stopping by today is we're doing this really cool event for all of our clients. It's going to be next month. It's on this date. And what I want to make sure of is that you guys knew that you were invited. You guys are totally welcome to come, because I would hate it if you were online and you saw all the fun that we were having and saw all the cool pictures and you thought, dang it, I wish I was invited. Because I don't want you to not feel that you were invited. So I want to go around to all my neighbors and make sure, hey, you're totally welcome to come and just have a good time. And hey, if you know anybody that wants real estate, like feel free to invite them too. Because it's a pretty low pressure way of connecting with people at our events.
Yeah. That's it. And one of the biggest things, Ginny, thank you for that question. One of the biggest things is that there's not a separation of the two. So you don't need to pick one or the other. Your business should probably simultaneously be running them at the same time. So however many times you're doing events or seminars or whatever you decide to call them for your classes in reference to real estate, those are not in place of your fun stuff. I like to put those in conjunction with, which meaning that I might have these real estate classes. I'm going to schedule these out And I'm also scheduling out my fun stuff too. So I don't necessarily have them separated when I'm doing my planning for that. There was one key thing that you said, and I just want to drop this little hint or a little quick idea of something that's very inexpensive. And I'm saying inexpensive, you can kind of do it as a low cost, but during the holiday season, especially Christmas time, we have done a contest where they had to submit their yards for their decorations. And everyone who did that, we went and got one of those, the directional signs, as you know, are like about $5 a piece for the, like your open house directional signs. Those are about $5-ish a piece. For everyone that was willing to do that, we got the same company that does our directional signs to do a sign that says like that your business or your team or whatever your name is, yard submission. And I have to really go back. It just made me think about that. We did it twice. We did it one for Christmas, and then we did it also during the Super Bowl timeframe. So we had a lot of people that decorated their yards for their Super Bowl parties. And we did one of those for the Super Bowl, and we got a ton of submissions for those. And then the winners for those got some gift that came from our sponsors. And then they also got the signs that got put into their yards. So anyone who participated, we had a runner drop off their signs to go into their yards for it. So that gave us publicity too. You can put, when they sent in those pictures and we posted those pictures that they sent in, we put our little logo and everything on that picture so that everyone who went out, and then we had voting done, which was fantastic. So what happened is that we have it online, our name is out there, and everyone who did a submission, of course, they're sharing it with their friends and family in order to get those numbers up for the votes. It was an awesome client event style that got our name out there for our brand recognition over and over and over again.
Super cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Voting platform. Actually, while we're doing this, I'm going to text my admin because I'm not the person who does it ever, but I'll find out and I'll drop that in for you, Jenny.
Cool.
All right. So keep going, sir.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, I'm trying to scroll through the different questions. I think we've hit most of the questions on here. Anybody else have any questions you want to make sure we hit and cover? Because we're getting close to our time on this. Somebody asked about Leslie asked about the gingerbread house signs, and I think Mark answered that. We just had a local company that just created some little real estate signs for us. We found a vendor who would make these little real estate signs, and we just gave them out to people, and it was pretty fun to do that. We ended up using like a PS5, I think the PlayStation 5 was our prize, and that was pretty entertaining to see the voting on that.
Awesome. Jenny, if we don't get to this before we go, I will reply to you once she does. Okay. All right.
Cool.
The cool thing about watching us live.
Exciting, right? It's good.
Very exciting.
So hopefully, I mean, the main premise of this is that you can walk away from here and think, all right, I can do this. Like, this is something that not out of the realm of possibility for me. I can do something that's not going to break the bank, and I'm going to do something that I can provide some value. And just hopefully, I'm curious, like as we've talked up here, I imagine some of you have had some different ideas, and I'm curious to see if you're looking at this next quarter or going into next year, what are some of the events that you're kind of mentally thinking that you're going to like pull off? Like, what are some of the ideas that you've come up with that you're saying, yeah, you know what, this is my thing. I think I'm going to do this. And you're all from different markets that are on so it's not like you're competing with each other. And honestly, like, there are other people in my market who do similar things. It's just my clients are going to come to my thing. They're not going to go to somebody else's. So you're not really competing with each other. So what are some ideas that you guys are looking at right now that you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, or I'm like on the fence about this, but I'm kind of thinking here, I'm going to do this event coming up in the next little bit. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of takeaways you're coming up with. And if you're still struggling with that, we can throw out a couple more ideas, but I think there's enough stuff to get the wheels turning for many of you. Then the thing is, if you start to put this in writing, it makes it a little bit more real, because right now it's just an idea. And then once this call ends, you're going to go back to your normal world. And like, I don't know, you'll fire back up Netflix to finish. I don't know, whatever it is you're going to do this afternoon, but you're going to go back to your thing And that's going to like be easily out of your mind. Like, oh yeah, I'll get to that. I'll get to that event when it's time to do the event. And what will happen is it will never happen because the events take a little bit of planning. And like the biggest secret to an event is just put a date on the calendar.
There you go.
Because once you set that date, like all the wheels are in motion. And the first person you tell about, it's like, it's on now.
Well,
like
the
now it's
date is your
happening.
deadline, right? And we deal with dates and deadlines for our businesses all day long. That date is your deadline, and it's a subconscious commitment that you're making when you put that on there and you say it's going to be on this date. And then you start planning it. You start planning it. And what you just said is so key, Aaron. How many things do we say, oh, yes, I'm going to do that. I love that idea. And then the Super Bowl has come and gone. And then Christmas is come and gone, or whatever that is come and gone, you know, get it done now. And one of the key things, I hope you guys were listening when he said that it does not have to fall on a holiday. You don't have to do things that are surrounding holidays. Get yourself a sponsor, get yourself a taco truck, and you can on Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday is every Tuesday. There you go. Taco Tuesday in your parking lot. Hey, this is what it is. Your local ice cream shops. Give me a discount of $1.50 for the cone to your local ice cream shops, and you can invite them all. New businesses that have come up, donut places, anything. Look at all the new stuff that's happening and try your best to support those local businesses. Those are the ones that really need it, not just the big box brands that are out there. Get to the mom and pop shops and think about this. You guys are going to be who they refer their businesses to. Business owners know other business owners, and you don't know who's the key to unlocking your breaking open your entire business can happen just from supporting one local mom and pop shop. So make sure you guys are getting out there and doing that part too.
That's great advice. I mean, like if you look at yourself as a business owner, and you look at yourself as an entrepreneur, it's really easy to associate with other business owners. And then you look at what you do in real estate. What are you really good at? Well, you're good at marketing. You're good at problem solving. You're good at, oftentimes, if you're doing client events, you start to be better and better at managing a database.
Mm-hmm.
And those are probably some of the biggest weaknesses that most business owners have in other industries. Like if you look in your local market, the local people who are running the HVAC company or the local person who's a plumber, how well do you think they run their database? Or your local mechanic, do you think they run their database very well? Probably not the greatest. So think about all the things that you could even offer as an expert in that space. Could you host a class on database management and invite other business owners to that? Could you host a class on social media marketing and have maybe someone who's has done a lot of social media come and teach a class on that as business owners teaching business owners? For sure. Because you're a business owner and you can connect with other people who are running businesses in your local marketplace. And then just bring all the stuff that we do, because we do this in real estate all the time. Like, hey, all you other real estate business owners get together. We're going to learn about social media marketing. But all that is just real estate business owners. But what if you were to flip that and bring a bunch of entrepreneurs in there? So you reach out like, oh, I'm going to invite because there's a guy who's a framer. Like, I don't even know what he does to market, or the little contractor down the street, or the guy who runs a landscape business. I don't even know what he does for marketing. He should come to this thing. And you start to bring value to business owners with all the things that we do. It opens up a whole different segment of business skill sets that you can share that you guys are learning on calls like this. You don't think you can take this concept and go teach a dentist how they could do client events for their clientele?
Yep.
Easy.
You can. So debunk that thought and just understand that all these owners that are out there, they are the same entrepreneurs that you are. And that's one thing that I really talk to all of my agents that we have. And I don't like them thinking of themselves as just a real estate agent or a broker or associate broker. No, you are an entrepreneur. That's what you are. And everyone's business that you walk into, even if you don't see the owner, they are all entrepreneurs. The person who owns the Chick-fil-A that I visit all the time, every morning. But that's an entrepreneur, that's an entrepreneur. So that was such fantastic advice. And I really love that framing for people in their minds to understand who you truly are so that you can feel comfortable going to other entrepreneurs. Fantastic. So we're going to drop those answers to some of these questions that we didn't have time to get to. We can drop some of the answers in the chat. So thank you to some of you guys that are on currently that are putting those in there. And Aaron, you got any final thoughts for everyone out there in these no money event land?
I think the final thought is just all it is just doing their first event. My first event was so small. It was 2 boxes of eclairs. We went to a little miniature golf place and it was like 30 people that came. It was super small. And that just started to create momentum because I just started to do something little and started to like move things forward. So your first event, it doesn't have to be big. Just something small. And all of a sudden it just starts to pick up and pick up and pick up. But you've got to start somewhere, and waiting longer and longer doesn't make it easier.
No, it doesn't. It actually makes it harder because you're going to overthink this process. And I love that you just said that. I just thought about that when you said it. My first event, I think it was like 20 something people. I generally only worked with buyers at that time. And I got my first listing from that first event just by offering. And it's funny, I got the listing from someone who referred somebody who did not come. Because they didn't show, they referred their friend, and that's how I got my first listing, was from hosting a client event. And I did that sucker on a whim. It was like, how about next weekend? I was challenged. So those of you guys who need a challenge, I'm going to challenge you to get out there, put your first one on there, post it when you do it. If you've never done it before, I am challenging you to take action now. All right, LCA world. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you so much, Aaron, for giving us so much knowledge on this. We love you guys out there. I hope you guys are extremely blessed, very prosperous, and see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.